I, 32F, never thought I'd be writing this post, but here I am. My husband Russell, 34M, and I have been married for 5 years, and until recently, I thought we had a great relationship with his mother, Diane, 58F. But her actions have left me shocked and questioning everything. I come from a wealthy family. My parents own a successful tech company that they built from the ground up. Growing up, I saw firsthand the hard work and dedication it took to create a thriving business. While we lived comfortably, my parents always emphasized the importance of humility and giving back to the community. They instilled in me a strong work ethic and the belief that wealth comes with responsibility. Russell, on the other hand, grew up in a working-class family. His mom Diane raised him as a single parent after his dad left when Russell was just a baby. She worked multiple jobs to make ends meet and give Russell a good life. Russell often tells stories of how Diane would skip meals to ensure he had enough to eat, or how she'd stay up late sewing patches on his clothes to make them last longer. Despite the hardships, Russell has fond memories of his childhood, filled with love and laughter. I met Russell during our college years. We were both studying engineering, though I later switched to interior design. I was immediately drawn to his kind heart and down-to-earth nature. We started dating in our junior year, and I quickly realized he was different from the guys I'd grown up around. He valued experiences over material things and had a strong sense of loyalty to his mom. When I first met Diane, I was nervous. I'd heard stories about difficult mother-in-law relationships and worried she might see me as a threat. But to my surprise and relief, Diane welcomed me with open arms. She was warm, funny, and seemed genuinely interested in getting to know me. Over time, we developed a close relationship. I even started calling her mom because I felt so close to her. After college, Russell and I both landed good jobs. He became an engineer at a top firm, while I started my own interior design business. We lived comfortably but tried not to be flashy about our wealth. We've always helped Diane out financially when needed, sending her money each month to supplement her income. It was our way of showing appreciation for all she'd done for Russell. About a year ago, during one of our weekly family dinners, Diane mentioned that she'd always dreamed of owning her own home but never thought it would be possible on her salary. She talked about wanting a cozy place with a big kitchen where she could host family gatherings, and a garden where she could grow her own vegetables. The wistful look in her eyes as she described her dream home stuck with me. That conversation gave me an idea for the perfect 60th birthday gift. I decided to surprise Diane by buying her dream house. I was excited about the prospect of giving back to someone who had given so much to the person I loved most in the world. I spent months secretly working with a realtor to find the perfect place. I wanted everything to be just right. After viewing countless properties, I found a lovely 3-bedroom ranch house with a big backyard, just like Diane had always wanted. The kitchen was spacious and opened onto a beautiful patio, perfect for those family gatherings she loved to host. I even went the extra mile to personalize the house. I had it painted in her favorite colors, warm, earthy tones that reminded her of her childhood home. I furnished it with a mix of new pieces and some of her favorite antiques that I'd secretly bought from her favorite thrift store over the past few months. In the backyard, I had a small vegetable garden planted, ready for her to tend. Russell was thrilled with the idea and helped me keep it a secret. He spent weekends helping me set up the house, always coming up with excuses to keep Diane from getting suspicious. We were both so excited to see her reaction. As Diane's 60th birthday approached, we planned a big party and invited all her friends and family. We arranged for a limo to take her to the new house after the party for the big reveal. Everything was set for the perfect surprise. A week before the party, Diane called me out of the blue. She said there was an expensive designer purse she'd been eyeing, and she was hoping I could buy it for her birthday. The purse cost over $5,000. I was a bit taken aback since we'd never discussed gifts, and I already had the house surprise planned. I gently told her I'm sorry, but we already had her gift picked out and couldn't do the purse too. Diane got very quiet, then snapped that she thought I'd be more generous considering how much money I have. She said something about how she'd given up so much for Russell and deserved to be spoiled a little. Before I could respond, she hung up abruptly. I was hurt and confused by her reaction but tried to brush it off as pre-birthday stress. Maybe she was feeling emotional about turning 60 and wasn't thinking clearly. The next day, I woke up to dozens of missed calls and texts. Friends, family members, even some of my clients were reaching out, asking if I was okay and what was going on with Diane. Confused, I checked Facebook and my heart sank. Diane had gone on a Facebook rampage, posting a long rant about how selfish and stingy I was. She claimed I was hoarding my family's wealth and refusing to help her in her old age after all she'd done for Russell. She even accused me of turning Russell against her with my gold digger ways. The post was filled with hurtful lies and exaggerations about how I supposedly looked down on her for her background and tried to keep Russell away from her. I was absolutely stunned. This was so out of character for the warm, loving woman I thought I knew. The Diane I knew would never air family dirty laundry on social media. She was always so private about personal matters. I couldn't understand what had prompted this sudden change. Russell was furious when he saw the posts. He immediately called Diane and told her she was way out of line. But instead of apologizing, she doubled down. She told Russell that I was manipulating him, that I had changed him and made him forget where he came from. She said he needed to stand up to me and remember who had sacrificed everything for him. We were at a total loss for what to do. The birthday party was in just a few days, and now this drama had erupted. We spent hours discussing our options. Should we cancel the party? Go ahead with the house reveal? Try to talk to Diane again? In the end, Russell and I decided to go ahead with the house reveal as planned. We hoped that when Diane saw how much thought and effort we'd put into her gift, she'd realize how much we cared and this misunderstanding would be resolved. The day of the party arrived, and the atmosphere was tense from the moment Diane walked in. She barely spoke to me and gave Russell the cold shoulder too. Our other guests could sense the awkwardness but tried their best to keep the party going. When it was time for gifts, we handed Diane a small box with the house keys inside. She opened it, looking confused. Russell excitedly told her to go outside, where a limo was waiting to take her to see her new home. Diane's jaw dropped. For a moment, I thought everything would be okay. But then her face hardened. She said, "So this is why you couldn't buy me the purse I wanted? You wasted all that money on a house I never asked for?" The room went dead silent. Russell tried to explain that we'd overheard her talking about her dream of homeownership and wanted to make it come true. He talked about how much work we'd put into making it perfect for her. But Diane cut him off, saying she was sick of our charity and stormed out of the party. We were left standing there mortified in front of all the guests. People started whispering, and I could feel their eyes on us. Russell's aunt pulled us aside and told us something that made my blood run cold. Apparently, Diane had been bragging for months about how she was set for life now that Russell had married into money. She'd been telling people that she expected to retire early and live off our wealth. She'd even been hinting to family members about extravagant gifts she was expecting for her birthday. I felt so betrayed and hurt. All this time, I thought we had a genuine relationship. I'd shared personal stories with Diane, sought her advice, and really thought of her as a second mother. But it seems Diane only saw me as a meal ticket. Had every moment of closeness been fake? Was she just playing nice to get access to my family's money? Russell was devastated too. He couldn't believe his mother would act this way. The mother he knew was always so proud of being independent and making her own way in the world. He couldn't reconcile that image with the greedy, entitled woman we'd seen today. It's been 2 weeks since the party disaster. Diane hasn't spoken to us at all. She's still posting nasty things about me on Facebook, now claiming that we're trying to buy her affection and control her with money. Some of Russell's relatives have taken her side and have been leaving angry comments on our social media pages. We don't know what to do about the house, it's in her name already as a gift. Part of me wants to just walk away from the whole situation, but I know that would crush Russell. He's struggling to come to terms with this new side of his mother, but I know he still loves her deeply. I'm at a total loss. How did things go so wrong? Was I naive to think Diane actually cared about me? Should we have seen the signs earlier? I don't know how we can ever repair this relationship, or if I even want to try. The thought of having to interact with Diane at family events in the future fills me with dread. Any advice would be appreciated. Update 1. It's been about a month since my last post, and unfortunately, things have only gotten worse with my mother-in-law Diane. I want to thank everyone for their advice and support. It really helped me and Russell process everything that happened and gave us the courage to try and address the situation head-on. After reading the comments, we realized we needed to set some firm boundaries with Diane. We decided to give her one last chance to apologize and make things right. Russell called her and asked if we could all sit down and talk things through. To our surprise, she agreed without much resistance. We set up a meeting at a neutral coffee shop last weekend, hoping that being in public might encourage everyone to remain calm and rational. I spent the days leading up to the meeting feeling anxious but hopeful. I really wanted to believe that the Diane we knew and loved was still in there somewhere. I thought maybe once we had a chance to explain our side of things and clear up any misunderstandings, we could start to rebuild our relationship. Russell was more skeptical, but he agreed it was worth a try for the sake of family harmony. When the day arrived, Russell and I got to the coffee shop early. We chose a quiet corner table where we could have some privacy. As we waited for Diane to arrive, I found myself rehearsing what I wanted to say in my head. I was determined to stay calm and not let my emotions get the better of me, no matter what happened. Diane arrived right on time, looking perfectly put together as always. But from the moment she sat down, It was clear she had no intention of apologizing or trying to make amends. Instead, she launched into a tirade about how ungrateful we were and how she deserved better after all she'd sacrificed for Russell. She went on and on about how hard her life had been as a single mother, rehashing stories we'd heard many times before about the sacrifices she'd made for Russell. But this time, there was a bitter, accusatory tone to her words. She implied that she was owed something for all her struggles, and that by marrying me, Russell had finally put her in a position to reap some rewards. When we tried to explain how her Facebook posts and accusations had hurt us, she dismissed it as just venting and said we were too sensitive. She claimed that she had a right to express her feelings and that if we were upset by it, that was our problem. It was like she couldn't, or wouldn't, see how her actions had affected us and our relationships with other family members. Just when I thought things couldn't get any more surreal, Diane changed tack completely. She smiled sweetly and asked when she could move into her new house. We were shocked. After everything that had happened, she still expected us to just hand over the keys? Russell firmly told her that the house gift was off the table after her behavior. He explained that her actions had deeply hurt us and broken our trust. He said that until she could acknowledge the harm she'd caused and make a genuine effort to make amends, we couldn't move forward with any gifts or financial support. Diane's face turned bright red, and she started yelling that we had no right to take back a gift. She said she'd already told all her friends about the house and would be humiliated if she didn't get it. She accused us of playing cruel games with her emotions and leading her on with false promises. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was like Diane had turned into a completely different person, entitled, greedy, and manipulative. The warm, caring woman who had welcomed me into the family seemed to have vanished completely, replaced by someone I hardly recognized. When we stood our ground about the house, she turned to me and spat out, "I knew you were just a selfish rich girl playing at being generous. You've never cared about this family. You're probably happy to have an excuse to keep the house for yourself." That was the last straw for Russell. In a voice shaking with emotion, he told Diane that until she could sincerely apologize and change her behavior, we would be cutting off contact. He said he loved her and would always be grateful for everything she'd done for him, but he couldn't stand by and watch her treat his wife this way. Diane's eyes widened in shock, as if she couldn't believe Russell was standing up to her. Then her face contorted with rage. She stood up so quickly her chair fell over, drawing stares from other patrons. She stormed out of the coffee shop, but not before loudly announcing to everyone there that we were abandoning her and that all rich people were the same, selfish and cruel. Russell and I sat there in stunned silence for several minutes after she left. The other customers quickly looked away, embarrassed to have witnessed such a personal scene. Eventually, we gathered ourselves enough to leave, both of us feeling drained and disheartened. Since that disastrous meeting, Diane has been on a smear campaign. She's telling anyone who will listen that we promised her a house and then cruelly took it away. She's painting herself as a poor, hard-working mother who's being cast aside now that her son has made it. Some of Russell's relatives have been calling us, angry that we would treat Diane this way. We've tried to explain our side, but many of them seem to believe Diane's version of events. The stress of the situation is really taking a toll on Russell. He's struggling to come to terms with this new side of his mother. He's been having trouble sleeping and seems distracted at work. I feel terrible that my attempt at a kind gesture has caused such a rift in his family. I can't help but wonder if things would have been better if I'd never tried to buy the house in the first place. We've decided to start seeing a therapist together to help us navigate this difficult time. We both recognize that we need some professional help to process everything that's happened and figure out how to move forward. As for the house, we're looking into selling it. We don't feel right about keeping it, but we also can't give it to Diane after everything that's happened. We're planning to donate the proceeds to a charity that helps single mothers, which feels like a fitting way to honor the strong woman we thought Diane was. I'm still in shock at how quickly our relationship with Diane deteriorated. It's hard not to question every interaction we've had over the years. Were there signs we missed? Was she always just waiting for a chance to take advantage of our finances? For now, we're focusing on healing and strengthening our own little family unit. We're expecting our first child in a few months, and it breaks my heart that they won't have a loving grandmother in their life. But I know we're making the right choice in protecting ourselves and our baby from Diane's toxic behavior. Thank you again to everyone who offered advice and support. It means more than you know during this difficult time. I'll update again if there are any significant developments. Update 2. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I wish I had better news to share. The situation with my mother-in-law Diane has somehow managed to get even worse, and it's affecting our lives in ways we never imagined. First, the house situation. We went ahead with our plan to sell it, but it turned into a legal nightmare. Apparently, Diane had been telling people for months that we had officially gifted her the house. She even went as far as to forge documents claiming ownership. When we tried to put the house on the market, she filed a lawsuit against us for theft of property. We've had to hire an expensive lawyer to fight this ridiculous claim. The whole process has been incredibly stressful. We've had to gather all our documentation proving that we purchased the house, dig up old text messages and emails discussing our plans for Diane's birthday gift, and even get statements from the real estate agent we worked with. The legal fees are mounting, and there's no end in sight. Our lawyer says we have a strong case, but Diane seems determined to drag this out as long as possible. She's even tried to claim that she's been living in the house part-time and has made improvements to it, which is completely false. The stress of the legal battle has been enormous, especially with our baby due any day now. Russell is devastated that his own mother would go to such lengths to hurt us. He's been throwing himself into work to distract himself, but I can see how much this is weighing on him. There are days when he comes home looking completely drained, both physically and emotionally. The family drama has only intensified. Diane has managed to turn most of Russell's extended family against us. His cousins, aunts, and uncles are constantly calling and messaging, accusing us of being heartless and greedy. Some have even threatened to cut Russell out of the family entirely if we don't make things right with Diane. What's most hurtful is that Diane has started spreading lies about our unborn child. She's telling family members that we've already decided to keep the baby away from her and that we're punishing her by depriving her of a relationship with her grandchild. In reality, we hadn't made any decisions about Diane's role in our child's life. We were hoping to see if she would change her behavior first. The constant stress and drama have taken a toll on my pregnancy. My doctor has put me on bed rest due to high blood pressure, which she attributes partly to the ongoing stress. Russell is torn between caring for me and dealing with the fallout from his family. I feel guilty for putting him in this position, even though I know rationally that none of this is my fault. We've had to block Diane and most of Russell's family on social media and our phones. The peace has been nice, but it's also incredibly sad. Russell never imagined he'd be welcoming his first child without his family's support. I can see the pain in his eyes every time we talk about the baby shower or setting up the nursery. All these milestones that should be joyous are tinged with sadness. Through all of this, we've learned who our true friends are. My parents have been incredibly supportive, both emotionally and in helping with the legal fees. They've assured us that they'll be there to help with the baby and give our child all the love and support they need. Russell's best friend from college and his wife have also been amazing, checking in on us regularly and even organizing a small baby shower when Diane sabotaged our original plans. As for Diane, her behavior continues to baffle us. We recently found out that she's been going around our neighborhood, introducing herself to our neighbors as the soon-to-be resident of our house. She's even had mail redirected to our address. It's like she's living in a completely different reality. We're trying to stay positive and focus on the impending arrival of our baby. But it's hard not to feel a cloud of sadness over what should be a joyous time. We're mourning the loss of the family relationships we thought we had, and the loving grandmother our child won't get to know. For now, we're taking things one day at a time. Our main priority is bringing our baby into a peaceful, loving environment, even if that means cutting ties with toxic family members. We're grateful for the support we've received from this community and hope to have more positive news to share in the future. Update 3. I can't believe it's been nearly a year since this nightmare with my mother-in-law Diane began. So much has changed, and I wanted to give you all a final update on our situation. First, the good news: our beautiful daughter Lily was born 4 months ago. She's healthy, happy, and the light of our lives. Becoming parents has given Russell and me a new perspective on everything that's happened, and it's strengthened our resolve to protect our little family. Now, for the not-so-good news. The legal battle over the house finally concluded, and it didn't go as we hoped. Despite having all the documentation proving the house was purchased in our names, the judge ruled in Diane's favor. Apparently, because we had announced it as a gift at her birthday party, it was considered a verbal contract. We were devastated, but our lawyer advised us that appealing would likely be more costly than it was worth. So, Diane now owns the house we bought. It's a bitter pill to swallow, knowing that our attempt at a kind gesture has turned into this. The family situation hasn't improved either. Diane has fully embraced her role as the victim in all this. She's been telling anyone who'll listen about how we tried to trick her with the house, then cruelly tried to take it away. Most of Russell's family still believes her version of events, and we've essentially been cut off from that side of the family. What's most upsetting is how Diane has been acting regarding Lily. She's been posting on social media about being a long-distance grandmother, implying that we're keeping Lily from her. In reality, we made the difficult decision not to have Diane in Lily's life due to her toxic behavior. It hurts, but we know it's the right choice for our daughter's well-being. Russell has been in therapy to deal with the loss of his relationship with his mother and the ongoing family drama. It's been a long, painful process, but he's slowly coming to terms with the fact that the loving mother he thought he had doesn't really exist. As for me, this whole experience has taught me valuable lessons about setting boundaries and being cautious with generosity. I've realized that no amount of money or gifts can create genuine love and respect if it's not already there. We've decided to move to a new city for a fresh start. Russell got a great job offer, and I can run my design business from anywhere. We're excited about the chance to build a new life away from all the drama and painful memories. Looking back, I still can't quite believe how a well-intentioned gift spiraled into this mess. But in a way, I'm grateful that Diane showed her true colors before Lily was born. Now we can focus on creating a loving, drama-free environment for our daughter to grow up in. To everyone who's followed our story and offered support and advice along the way, thank you. Your kindness has been a bright spot in a difficult year. While this isn't the happy ending we hoped for, we're at peace with our decisions and excited for our future as a family of 3.